pardon me as I switch over to my screen share. But absolutely, having personally just arranged for long-term care for my mom, it's very important to have these discussions with people. So I applaud everybody here for being here today and learning and educating themselves. So my topic about your money and taxation. I mean, that's everybody's. It's at least 50% of everybody's favorite topic. Money, yes. Taxation, no. But it's two sides of a coin, and we need to understand how they work together so that we can keep more of the side of the coin that we like, which is our money. So as we move into here, it's just a couple of things here. Is that what does everybody want with their savings, right? And for myself, there it's showing that very simply two things, right? What we want growth, right, and then we want income, but we've got an enemy that's called taxation. Besides procrastination, that's the biggest enemy. And you're already taking care of the procrastination because you're here, right? This is both of these are actually in your control. So when we look at growing, you want to grow your money, we have to, it's like whatever we plant, we harvest. So it's very important to know up front how things are going to be, both when we go to take the money in the harvest, which is the income stage. So that's two things to keep in mind there. So how does tax affect my wealth? Ron definitely touched on that. The biggest thing is that when you look at remembering the wealth formula I talked about earlier today, is that there's time and money, right? Plus or minus a rate of return, always minus inflation, and then the next part is step five is taxation. And so it's very important we look for vehicles that have tax advantages. And the importance of tax advantage, this always blows my mind, I should say, is that the when you look at if you take a dollar and double it 20 times, what do you think it would be without taxation, right? Look at this. It's $1 million, right? Yeah, it's amazing. Now, what if we have a little bit of taxation, like the average tax rate, the 50,000 is kind of the average income in Canada if you go across all that. So it's about 35%. So we'll go a little bit like 35 in our province. But look what happens if you add tax over that. It's jaw dropping, right? So considering the amount of taxes we pay, right, people must look for vehicles to and understand whether it be insurance or investments that can build their future cash buildup, right? That's so important, right? So again, two sides to that coin because our when we're saving, we start saving there. Do we pay the tax now, or do we pay it later? Well, wouldn't we all like to be tax advantaged? How do we do that? Well, it's about education, right? So where do we save? Where should we save for our future? So I asked myself a long time ago, what do the wealthy do, right? And what do they not do? Well, where do the wealthy go to? The average person, the first place I went to go get information is I went to the bank, and I said, hey, I need to talk to somebody about saving some money. And they go, great, how much do you have? And I said, I had nothing, right? That's why I'm talking to you. Um, the lady actually chuckled at me. I thought Jesse had offer some free kung fu lessons at that time, but that went through my mind. But the point was is that you know I found out that's not where the wealthy go. Where do they go? They go to people like Jesse, like Ron or Kat. They go to professional advisors. They have people that have that information, right? The industry did a stat and several different times, but over a 15-year period, you have four times more tax advantages. And just based that million down to 28,000, that's significant, right? So talk to who invited you out. They'll help you put a strategy together. But here, just as a few thoughts, as what are some different vehicles? What are the different places that we can save? How does that work, right? We've heard about RSPs. I've had so many times where people have said to me, "Oh, I don't like RSPs," and I said, "Well, why?" Well, they tax you so much when it comes out. And I asked, "Well, what do you prefer to pay? If in our province, do you want to pay 36% tax or 22% tax on that dollar?" And they go, "Well, 22." They go, "Okay, well, RSPs have strategies with it there as you build it. You pull money out at the end of life in retirement. I call it the legendary phase. Is you can you minimize your tax. So it's a tool, a vehicle that you really have to understand to use, and a lot of people don't. Tax-free savings account, when should you use it? Well, perfect example. My three kids, they're not in their earning phase right now. My youngest just turned 18. First thing she did within the first few days, here's the paperwork for your tax-free savings account, right? Because wanting to start to save. My son's 21, be 22 this year. He's maxed out his tax-free savings account, even though he's been off work because of COVID. He still maintained that savings, right? Why? Because in the lower income stage, especially, that's one of the best places to save. In the, now RSPs, well, later on they use it. But if you're making, have a family I sat with, he's making his six-figure income, right? He has to reduce his tax. What do we do, right? Well, a simple strategy. We take the refund and we put it in the tax-free savings account. Because who do you want to pay? Do you want to pay CRA or do you want to pay yourself, right? You know, so that's using these tools can make a big difference. But you also have to understand, like I said, where they're going. And there's different things that are put inside a tax-free savings account, RSP, and through the workshops we go in depth in that throughout the week. What about your house? People saving, say that's my house is my savings. I, hey, do you want to own or rent? It's definitely better to own. But the thing is that can I take a door off and go on a on a family vacation, right? I can't exchange that. Um, but I'm not saying not have a house, but what I am saying is that should I accelerate paying off my mortgage or should I save? Well, if you remember the a little bit of the X curve, if you're part of that, but it's about eliminating that wealth in a proper manner, right? It's about controlling that debt or limiting the debt, not the wealth, right? So that you have time to save, through that. And again, we go through that through our workshops. And Ron pointed out very much importantly about insurance policies where they have tax advantages. Um, have a family friend that I've been working with since 19 years ago, started with her. And they've never made income wise, they've never made 30,000. It's always been 24, 26, 27. But they started with a plan. They started saving. We used mainly, tax sheltered vehicles like TFSA insurance policies, some other ones. Um, but because of this, like, because the RSPs, there's only so much value for her. But because of this, now because she's had a plan and she's worked with somebody, like Ron or Jesse or Kat, is that mid late 30s now. By the time that they wish to retire, they're actually going to make more in retirement than they are now. And it's not just because of the assets that they've accumulated. It's also because of the fact is that we've taken consideration of what we've started saving in. So when we planted, when we go to take that income, so there's the growth, and then we go to take that income. So some people ask, what's the best way to save and do things on the questions online, best safety, things like that. That's certainly something to talk with who invited you out. But one thing to definitely consider is how is it going to be taxed, right? Inflation and taxation are two things, but if you have a good program set up and you mitigate the tax, that helps offset inflation, right? So it's something that the last thing here is really it's understanding this money game. And just end with this here is in order to get ahead, you can't just make money. You have to learn how to understand it, right? And I with these workshops that you're seeing here and everything that we put together to welcome up Kat to my fellow Winnipegger. She's actually one of the things that people really don't understand about money is her next topic. And please pay close attention to her because this topic, everything else that you do, if we look after this, it can be for naught. So I'd like to welcome up Kat Labossiere.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. Great job. Phenomenal. My goodness, you guys. I hope you guys are